Welcome, low ego action heroes. I'm Debbie Levitt from Delta CX, and welcome to our now every other Tuesday show where I'll be doing an Ask Me Anything plus combining our old critical thinking stream into one. That means if you've got something that's on your mind that you want to talk about or you have a question to ask me, this is free mentoring time, no charge. Though, of course, I hope you will subscribe over on YouTube. Our channel is CX-CC. You can find all the links at dcx.to. If you want to ask a question or submit something for me to check, you probably won't be able to do that through the chat. Hi, Ana Lucia, because YouTube and other systems sometimes block links. So make sure you're using the form. You can use the ask, and that will come into my email completely anonymously, so you can say whatever you like. And I will also send in, then I'll get this stuff up on the screen. So in advance of this, we actually got a question and 3 things to talk about for critical thinking. So, wow, I changed the format and it seems to be working for us. So let me get the question ready. And of course, a quick thank you to all of our past and present paid Patreon members. Some people have been downgrading to free, and you know what? Totally respect that. I'm just happy to have people involved in the community. So please consider joining the Patreon, even at the free level. All the links are at dcx.to. So let's start with our first question, and then we've got 3 critical thinking stream things to take a look at, and I will keep an eye out for other ones. So the question came in and it says, I've seen people talking on LinkedIn about tactical versus strategic work, tactical UX versus strategic UX. How would you describe these, and are they the same thing? Super question. And remember, this is the type of thing that people might have different opinions on. Just because I think something doesn't mean someone else is going to agree, but I'll give you the way that I see it. So typically, something that is strategic is often more high level. It has to do with goals, planning, the high level initiatives of how we generally plan to achieve those goals. So you've got your strategies, you have your goals, and then you have the planning and initiatives that will help you carry through the strategies. That strategy at a more high level or higher level. But then we also have strategies at other levels as well. If I'm doing a UX research project, I need to plan that project. I need to approach it strategically. If you don't approach a research project strategically, what are you doing? You're saying, I just want to call up some people and ask them some questions. That's doing the tactical work, probably without a strategy. So then what's the tactical work? Usually the tactical work is kind of the worker bee work. So could it involve planning and strategy? It could. But the tactical work is usually, I did the research. I spoke to customers, I analyzed it, I wrote a report, I presented it. These are kind of the things that we can feel. Notice that tactical is a very similar word to tactile. If you like words in etymology like I do, it's this sense that it's the stuff that we can see and feel more easily. And so the tactical work tends to be the individual contributor or worker bee work that might be actually doing the interaction design, actually doing the information architecture. Now, to me, if you're doing these well, there's going to be part of this that is strategic. And in fact, we've talked about this in the past because I like to put up this triangle. And I say, look, at the very bottom, you've got building blocks. I'm using Figma. Okay, but are you designing, and did you approach it strategically, and all those questions? So it's like, I did a thing, cool. But if you level up, then we're looking at science and technique. How are you doing the work? Are you using best practices? Do you have some education behind this? Do you have previous experience that'll help you? So what kinds of techniques, methods, and things like that are you applying to your work, whatever type of work it is? And then we've got strategy. And this is usually where people who are newer to UX aren't that good at it yet. Sometimes someone's amazing at it, but generally it's a real growth area for people, which is, how do I know the right work to do? How do I know which work is more likely to be impactful? How do I plan the work? What am I going to need to do the work well? time, budget, resources, people, tools. A lot of this type of planning, it can be strategic. Some people say, well, maybe that's operational. Okay, some of it could be operational, but you still have to take a strategic approach, in my opinion, to plan it out. So ultimately, are these the same thing? Usually not, but I do see some room for overlap, because when I'm doing a UX research project, yep, that's the tactical work, but I never do just the tactical work. I'm always trying to be strategic in as many ways as possible. I'll be strategic early on in how I plan it, to make sure I have good planning. What are the goals? Why are we doing this? What do we hope to get out of it? What are we going for? And then opportunities to be strategic towards the end. I'm not just going to give people the findings fire hose or a few insights and say, good luck, I threw it over the fence. I want to be more strategic. I want to be more of a consultant, an advisor. I want to say, based on the things we learn, here's some directions we could go. Here's some plans we could make. Hello, someone named Bill Clinton who could be Bill Clinton and might not be. Do you have a question? This is Ask Me Anything. So that would be my definitions of strategic and tactical. Again, you might hear other things from other people. They also might throw in operational, but that's the way that I tend to look at it. So thank you, Bill Clinton. My husband agrees. So let's see. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the stuff that was sent in for the other side of things. The Ask Me, so again, you can send stuff in for the Ask Me Anything questions, or you can send stuff in for the critical thinking. So the critical thinking, usually people send me a link and they send me why they want me to look at that or some of their impressions, and that normally comes through the links at dcx.to. So yeah, it's tough. So, I mean, that's got to be a fairly lonely person. So, let's switch over. So you're going to see the sausage being made, and then we'll head over to my browser and we'll take a look at the ones that were sent in. Okay, so here we go. So the first thing I was sent was this blog post by Dan, I guess he pronounced it Weiner. I've seen his posts on LinkedIn before. I am not connected with him. I typically don't agree with him, so I'm starting out as a not fan. But basically he's saying the rise of business-centered design. My immediate reaction was, what do you mean rise? This is what's already been going on. We already barely have design because we just are focused on the business. We're over-focused on the business, and customers and users and the experience ecosystem seems so secondary. Ana Lucia says, I've seen some of these discussions on LinkedIn, and they end up with people saying, you don't have to be strategic, you have to be tactical. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I always try to tell people that if you're new to UX, I probably expect you to be mostly tactical. As you become more experienced, especially like 3 years and up, I expect you to bring some strategy into that and not just do the tactical work. So here he says, advocating for the user is crossed out, and he's written business. Again, he's double lost me. He lost me at the title, and he lost me at the headline. Because what I find is that when these things are clickbait or rage bait, I know do we still have a clickbait graphic? I think I took it down. Oh no, here it is. When things are clickbait or rage bait, magically they never seem to propose a balanced approach. It never seems to be, let's advocate for the user and the business. Magically, it's always, you know what, we really just have to fight for one. But the interesting thing is that the user needs an advocate and the business does not. The business already has all of the voice and all of the power. Again, let's go back to our Latin root. VOC is a Latin root relating to voice, speaking, words like vocals, vocalizing, vociferous. So the business has a voice. They don't need an advocate. They hold all the power. The user needs a voice. The user is usually not in the conversation. The user is a victim or guinea pig or person we experiment on. So ultimately, what I found, and I'm going to just blow through this one really quickly, was I found that this was just a lot of words that really was about take my course. So ultimately, I thought this was part clickbait, part rage bait, part SEO for won't you please take my course, because you'll really grow your career. And of course, my thought right now is I don't believe that very much can grow a UX or design career. I think our industry is in a lot of trouble, and I don't think that we should be paying a lot of money for courses. If you find an inexpensive course or a free course, cool. I've made my courses $77. I'm hoping that those are affordable if people are interested. But let's see what his course costs. $649. Now, if you get $649 of value for that, that's great. But it almost sounds like he's just going to tell you how to focus on the business, the business, the business, the business, the business, the business. And he's saying new market conditions require a pivot from customer-centric approach. No one had a purely customer-centric approach. We've been fighting for businesses to have even a slight customer-centric approach to one that is more business-centric. My question is, I don't understand what people are seeing. You would think that we've all been coming from this place of amazing power and amazing jobs where we've just had this wonderful customer centricity, and so much is being researched and designed just for the users. And we really care about the specialization of CX and UX people. And you know what? It's time for us to be more business centric. We've mostly been business-centric, and most of the product management books that have come out have been business-centric. So I don't get it. So I don't understand why we're acting like this is a pivot. The user has never had power, and the business, everything has always been business-driven and shareholder-driven. I think what they're really trying to say is get your ass on the fucking bus, because you're not going to be able to advocate for the user, and that's it. But I think that this is unfair. This is supposed to be a balance. I don't understand why we keep making it sound like, well, we can either have a customer-centric approach or a business-centric approach. And my thought is, I don't understand why we keep acting like that, because to me, the real success comes from balancing both. And that's what I've been saying for years. So UX can't forget about the business, but if UX focuses on the business, then who's left to focus on the user? Because it's so rare that other people are focused on the user. So again, I understand that there's a lot of things people are doing right now in the hopes that we're all going to save our jobs, and that if maybe UXers and designers just become more business-centric and focus only on business goals and only do things that support business objectives. And to me, the subtext here is never speak out. Don't say anything. If it doesn't support a business objective, don't advocate for users. Don't try to fight for them. Don't talk about them. Don't bring them into the conversation unless you can prove that it matches the business objectives. And again, in my opinion, if you want to do that, you don't need his course. Just start saying yes to everything. Stop fighting for the user. Don't advocate for the user. Don't care if they don't want good research or good design. All you have to do is stop caring, and then you've automatically supported a business-centric approach. And you don't need an expensive course to do that. And even if you can learn to speak the business's language, which I've put a lot of content out there for free about that, so you don't have to pay $650 for that, I don't get it. This is a Band-Aid on a much larger problem. And does this guy want the future that he's creating? Critical thinking, right? What future are we creating if we reduce advocating for users or stop advocating for users? Is that the future we want? I don't think I do. Ana Lucia says, I'm now wondering about who that person is. Is he a UX or something else? I think he is a UX leadership at companies, which of course explains, gestures broadly at everything, why these things are happening. If the UX leaders don't want us to advocate for the user, and they will only want to do what business objectives say, then you don't have design, you don't have UX, you only have business-centric everything. And again, you can be business-centric if you want, but then let's not pretend that this work is user experience. This work is business objectives, and that's what product managers say their job is. So what is all of this other than an ad for his course? I think the same person sent this YouTube video, which was 1 minute and 39 seconds long. It was from IBM, and it was from a channel that appears to have never taken off because it has 53 subscribers. And it was some sort of short video, and basically it was some people from IBM. Oh, hi, Pepe Jeans. I'm thinking about doing a course about microexpressions. I'm interested in psychology and body language. I think it can bring value when it comes to analyzing recordings of interviews. Again, so let's talk quickly about Pepe's idea about a course. If you can get people to pay for it, great. Otherwise, I create courses and sometimes nobody buys them or 3 people buy them. Is it still worth your time to make a course? You decide. I've got my new course out about writing and speaking and presenting. Maybe somebody can tell you if it's worth it or not. My courses are at deltacx.academy. I'm thinking about writing another one, but I also recognize the possibility that nobody buys it because everybody just wants to be business-centric. And if I show up and say, you know what, I think there's a balance here. I think we have to balance making sure we achieve business outcomes, because you have no business if you don't achieve business outcomes. We have to balance that with what users need. And in fact, I would say that we will achieve business outcomes through giving users what they need. Funny enough, this is the core of Agile. Agile says our highest priority is customer satisfaction, which we accomplish through the delivery of value and valuable software. Lean says this. Lean says the value is in the eye of the customer, and we must constantly deliver value. So yet we have all these things reminding us that our success is through customer success, is through delivering quality and value to customers. But yet we're in this weird blip right now where we only seem to care about business outcomes, shareholder value. And when UX leaders have waved the white flag and they've given up and they just say, you know what, UXers only focus on business outcomes. I think that's the wrong advice, because they could just as easily sell a $650 course on how to balance the two and at least have some integrity and at least try to keep our jobs existing. So I don't get it. Oh, I mean attending, not creating one. Oh, sorry, Pepe. I thought you were, when you said doing a course, I thought you meant creating it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, certainly if you haven't trained in some aspects of psychology or recognizing body language, then getting into that can be interesting. You know, I can't tell you not to. So in the end, this very short IBM video, which is years old, it's from May 2020, which is already 4.5 years ago, they basically said, you can drive business needs, you can make money, and we can connect with our users' needs. So they were essentially advocating for the balance. But I guess that just wasn't pushed hard enough. 53 people subscribed and the message didn't totally get out there. I'm looking to see if anybody is sending in questions. Of course, you can put your questions in the chat, or you can send your questions in certainly anonymously to dcx.to. I'm pointing up, but it's probably somewhere else. So the third thing that I was sent for the critical thinking, which is different from the AMA, Ana Lucia says, do you need to know about microexpressions? Body language may help a bit. Microexpressions would be relevant if you had to question people thoroughly or in therapy settings. I don't know if I totally agree, because I would say that I feel like I'm very good at noticing microexpressions, and I think it can only help. It can't hurt. It can't hurt to get better at that if people have never studied it or they think they're not good at it. So I don't think I would tell anybody don't bother studying that. I would just say, hey, depending upon what you're doing with this, you might find a lot of use for it or you might find some use for it. But I know that it's something I'm happy that I'm relatively good at. Okay, so I was also sent Akash Gupta on Substack. I'm not a fan of Substack, and I'm not a fan of Akash. Akash is a very popular product manager who, unfortunately, in my opinion, can't prove this, is mostly writing stuff for the Substack subscribers. Like, that's where the money is. So I think a lot of the stuff he writes is not meaningful, actionable, and helpful. It's not going to meet our usual standards on this channel. Let's roll them out. Does this say meaningful, actionable, helpful? I can't remember. Yes. Excellent. Meaningful, actionable, helpful. Usually doesn't pass my standards. So take a look. I've hired 7 people in the last month, no CVs or interviews, and no job postings. So again, this seems very strange. It sounds like this person has open jobs or wants to hire someone, but told nobody, and put up no job posting, and is just saying people proactively reached out to me with an opportunity they noticed in my work and a clear plan on how they would fix it or contribute value, and then he gave them a quick work trial. There's a few pieces of information here missing, because that's a whole article. So there's a few things that are missing here. Number one, how did they reach out to him? Because he's got over 100,000 followers on LinkedIn. Is he getting these as private messages or something else? Number two, does he want more of this? Number three, a clear plan on how they would fix it or contribute value. So this is a solution without necessarily fully understanding the problem. But like many product managers, he welcomes this solution. I wonder how many solutions he acted on without hiring the person. We don't know that. We don't know how ethical this was. I make no assumptions. He might have been completely ethical, and if anyone gave him a good idea, he paid them for it. Or this could be a little strange, where because he's so popular, hundreds or thousands of people are writing to him with their ideas for what he could do better in his work, which I guess is content creation, because we don't really get to see any of his product management. I don't know anything about his product management. He doesn't expose to us his product management. We only see his content creation. So it sounds like people are writing to him about ways he could be a better content creator. I'm guessing, because I couldn't tell you what he's doing right or wrong as a product manager. That seems confidential. You're doing the AMA. Yeah, thank you. Hi, Milky Drops. So I don't know if he's paying people for their suggestions on how he can improve what I think is his content creation. And then he says we had a quick work trial. Did he pay them for that work trial? This doesn't say. So it sounds like this person has a very unique approach to hiring. Is this the way most people are doing it? No. I would imagine this is less than 1% of humans. Most companies that have a job go through the normal steps of opening a job. They budget for what they want to pay. They come up with what they need and they are looking for. They have standards for what they're looking for. You should apply and you should meet or exceed these standards. And they go through a normal process. He's acting like, I'm not going to tell you what I need, or if I need anything, you're going to write to me, you're going to tell me what you notice in my work, and you're going to tell me how you'd fix it. Now, the funny thing is I actually did that, a year or so ago when he and I actually had a conversation, and I told him some things that were badly wrong with his content, and I told him how to fix it, and he told me he didn't care. So I guess I just couldn't contribute enough value. So do I think you should do this? Because chances are people are sending me this thinking, should you do this? Should you find someone like Akash or me or famous person X or guy with a lot of followers or woman who's always going viral or somebody else? Should you start sending them messages on how you can make their work better? I think that's very presumptive. I think if someone, when people write to me and say, I can help you with your website SEO, do you think I go, oh yeah, I should really have this person help me with my SEO? That is usually not what I'm thinking. So you do run the risk that you tell someone like, hey, you're fat and I can help you diet. And they're going, wait, I didn't want this. So, even when I can think of a lot of times when I've hired people and I didn't always look at a resume, but I did look at a portfolio, because I want to know that you can do what you say you can do. Now, of course, he found that out by giving them a work trial, but I don't know if he paid them for that. So again, you can do this if you want. But I'm not sure that if you start writing to people and going, oh, hey, I see you work at, like Dan, who wrote the first article, I see you work at Kit, formerly ConvertKit, and here's some shit that I found that Kit is doing that I think is really bad, and here's what I would do to fix it. I've actually seen tweets from people who say, please stop sending me this stuff. You don't understand what's going on inside of my company. You don't understand the fights we've been through. You don't understand what we can and can't do, and you're sending me these things and these designs you've made and you're telling me you can fix it. You don't even understand my problem. So I think you run the risk more of being presumptive and overstepping than getting a magical unpublished secret job, because technically he has no job. He's just trying to collect people who are going to help him and make him more money. So, you know, good luck. He didn't hire UXers, he hired people. Yeah, and again, because he's a content creator, I assume that he hired people who will help him with his content creation. Someone who will help him make better looking graphics. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if in the coming weeks we see him have something that one of these people will be paid to do. Maybe better looking graphics, better organized newsletters, something else, you know? So I think that that's what we're going to see, because I don't think he's hiring for his product management work. My guess would be that he's hiring people who can help him with his content creation, just because it makes him so much money. I think it makes him more money than the product management. So, but that's just a guess. You ask him. All right, let's go back to a giant picture of me and get some of Pepe's questions on the screen. So let's start with making a note that we talked about. Should you, thank you for the lovely bouncing logo. Should Pepe study microaggressions? And my answer was, I think that's a great thing to study if you can find a reasonably priced course. So why not? Let's see. And then we've got part 2 and part 3. So let's copy and paste those. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to juggle lots of things at once. LinkedIn, you're awfully quiet today. I'm going to have to check and see if my system is blocking your comments, or let's see. Okay, so let's see what Pepe is saying. We'll put it up on the screen. Copy, paste. Oh, sorry, I missed part 1. Ooh, okay, hold on. More copy, paste. Okay, sorry everybody, one woman show. Give me a moment. Okay. You said microaggressions. Oh no, I said microaggressions. Thank you. I meant microexpressions. Oh man, is it bedtime yet? Thank you, Pepe. At least you're listening to me, even if I'm not. All right, so here's what Pepe said, if I correctly copied and pasted this. And meanwhile, let me pull up LinkedIn just to see if, oh my gosh, this is so funny. I'm getting a private message. Did anybody read my article on LinkedIn today where I said I was going to take my friend to barbecue every week? Well, she must have seen that. She just sent me a private message saying, you were going to take me to barbecue every week? I was, but now I didn't take the job, so I'm not moving in with you. Sorry. Though I don't think she's watching the show. All right, let's see. LinkedIn, you are just quiet. All right, nothing from LinkedIn. Come on, y'all. Okay, so Pepe says, are there any UX jobs that are focused on internal experiences of employees, fixing processes, helping HR, how to write proper surveys, interviewing employees, making sure we get to the root cause of their dissatisfaction, and so on? I feel this is often done poorly. So is this a position in itself? An employee experience designer. Hi, Judith. I do see the comment. Yeah, I see it on my phone, and it should be on the screen right now. An employee experience designer. Are these jobs often? What do you think of it? Focus more on processes than products. You know me, I see a shiny thing and I want to do it. And yeah, Pepe, you'd be great at it because I know who you are. And hi, Judith. So I would say that chances are this is an HR job. There's so many things that go into HR. Part of HR is coaching people. Part of HR is putting people in the right jobs. Part of HR is trying to improve conditions for workers. Part of HR is sometimes covering the company's ass when stuff's going wrong. Sean said it kept freezing. Yeah, I streamed to LinkedIn and I don't know why it does that. So thank you for moving over to YouTube. It's always the better way to go. Please subscribe over here on YouTube. And Sean, thanks for commenting on my article today. Really nice to go back and forth with you and know that you were seeing some of the same things I saw. So Pepe, can you do this? Yes, but I don't think you're going to be in UX. You are going to be a consultant who's brought in to make this type of change. So some sort of change agent, change management consultant, person from a consulting company. You are going to work in HR. So really anybody who is affecting employee experiences are going to be that. I would imagine some service designers affect the employee experience, but I think it's a relatively limited group, unfortunately. Ana Lucia says microaggressions are just a tiny part of the whole behavior, not to mention they might be unconscious tics. Not many people know, is it an expression or tic? Ana Lucia has a great point. I remember doing a critical thinking stream 2 years ago, because someone on an Instagram post, I think a UX researcher has said, if you're interviewing someone and they touch the back of their neck, that means that they're uncomfortable and you should ask them why they're uncomfortable. And I was like, no. And that's when I talked about how I've had a rash behind my ear for 20 years. And so if you see me doing this, and if anyone's ever, now you'll notice me doing this. If you see me doing this or you see me back here, it's not because I'm uncomfortable. I'm not having an emotional reaction. Or as Ana Lucia says, it could just be a tic or some other body language. Like, why am I going through my hair like that? There's a lot of reasons someone might go through their hair. For me, my hair is so long, I feel it pulling against my shoulder, and so I'm just trying to free it up a bit. But don't read into that. Don't read into that and be like, Deb's head is itchy, or Deb is uncomfortable, or I asked Debbie a tough question, so she had to flip her hair. I think sometimes people read into some of these things when the answer is much simpler. I flip my hair a lot because my hair is tremendous, and I'm just trying to get it into a position where I'm not bothered by it. It's quite long, y'all. So, don't overread into people's actions or expressions or tics. Oh, thank you, Sean, for the subscription. Pow! Yeah, so always good, wherever possible, great to get better at learning to read body language. But as Ana Lucia reminded us, don't over read into it, because we could end up making assumptions about behaviors, thoughts, feelings that just aren't there. If I go, it's possible that someone could say, Debbie was angry. Well, was that anger? Debbie was confused. Was it? Debbie was frustrated. Are you sure? So I try to not assign things to people unless they tell me what it is. I can always say Debbie sighed, and I'm not too sure what she was feeling or thinking. That would be honest. But be careful of people who are like, oh, Debbie flipped her hair or played with her hair or touched her hair or touched her face because she's nervous, anxious, she's lying. I see some of these things sometimes and I just say, maybe so when I'm doing this, I'm looking at myself. When I do this, I'm looking at my camera. When I do this, I'm looking at myself, and then I go, oh, wait a minute, I think I have an eyebrow out of place. I don't have any chocolate on my face. Do I have some face cream that's in a big blob of whiteness? I'm getting a little self-conscious when I see my own face, and so I might move my hair, I might touch my face. It's not because I have anxiety or nerves or I don't like the question someone's asked me. I just suddenly feel like either my hair would be more comfortable in another position, or I've caught myself on the screen and I'm just making adjustments. Ana Lucia says, I get easily anxious while talking to people, and you can see me grabbing a bit of my hair to be able to calm down. It doesn't mean I'm uncomfortable with the interview or I'm lying, I'm just nervous. And Pepe says, Not one me, nor body language will provide a certainty. They usually are part of a story, what people tell as well, that can point us in the right direction and ring some alarms. Yeah, I totally agree with all these things. And Ana Lucia says also, it's common with people with autism or Tourette's, and it's not appropriate to ask if they have autism. Yeah, exactly. Just like I don't want to say, oh, someone touched their neck. Hey, are you uncomfortable? Or I think the Instagram post said, ask them why they're uncomfortable. Oh, that's a great way to make people feel scrutinized and judged. So no, please no. So, oh gosh, my mailbox is just full of spam. I can't even get to the important stuff in here. Oh my gosh. So again, studying psychology, studying body language or facial expressions and all that, I'm not against it, but we don't want to make assumptions about what someone is thinking or feeling. It's a similar problem that I've had for a long time with empathy maps. And hold on, that deserves an effect. Hold on, we haven't done it in a while. Empathy maps. You know, it says, oh, what did people think and what did they feel? And I say, how do you know? If I don't say, you know, right now I feel frustrated. If I say that, that's what I said. I might not even be true to my own feelings. Emojis up if you've ever said you felt in a way that you didn't really feel, or you said you felt in a way, but you were out of touch with how you felt. Maybe I say, you know, I feel a little frustrated right now, but I'm furious and I'm just hiding it. So even when I hear people say, oh, I feel this, I still will treat that as what they said, because I don't know what they're feeling. They might not know what they're feeling. They might not be in touch with it. They might not be telling the truth about it. And I don't know what they're thinking. If they don't tell me, you know, right now I'm thinking, I wonder if I click this button, if I'm going to end up in a weird place. Okay, that's what they're thinking. Great. Now I can put that down. But if they don't tell me that, I don't want to make any assumptions about what they're thinking. Even if they're looking at the screen and they're making faces and they look like a Jack Russell Terrier with a question, I'm not going to say, you know, she's thinking that this is difficult, or she's thinking that this is frustrating. You don't know what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm thinking that soup I had for dinner wasn't that good. Sean, as a person with ADHD, I've had to shake a leg or tap to regulate myself sometimes. So yeah, best to not send false signals. And personally, I welcome you to do whatever you have to do to regulate, focus, deal with feeling anxious or nervous. I welcome all of these things. I mean, now I'm doing life coaching. Maybe you just need to cry. That's fine. You know, whatever it is, I'm not going to judge you. And I think anybody who is doing this judging or assuming needs to take a look at themselves. Yeah. Pepe says, I get nervous when cops ask for my ID. Doesn't mean I did something. Absolutely, because it's a situation that feels out of control. We don't know what's going to happen next. And you might have other reasons for that as well. Pepe says, every serious body language microexpression analyst would disregard that, Sean, or ADHD nerves. Those would be part of your baseline. It really depends, because if we're in a UX research experience and this is the first time I'm meeting Sean, I have no baseline. If I were Sean's coach or therapist, then okay, I get to know Sean and I get to know anything he does that might be a fidget or a tick or a tap or a self-soothe or some of these other things. But if I'm just doing a UX research interview, or I'm internal to a company and I'm doing change agent stuff and I'm talking to people about their experiences inside the company, I don't have that baseline. So the best thing I can do is not judge and not assume. If someone, like sometimes people don't make good eye contact with a camera, you're having a meeting with them, they're doing a lot of this, you might start feeling grumpy about it. You're saying, they're not even looking and they're distracted, they're not paying attention to me. Some people don't like looking at a camera. Why are you attaching all this stuff to it? Ana Lucia says, even a trained psychotherapist would refrain from asking why a person is nervous that directly. Yes, indeed. That puts the person on the spot. Trying to learn the why is important, but not like that. So correct. Pepe says, good point. That would be a challenge there, Deb. Yeah, I think you're talking about if I have no baseline for someone, because I think we're delayed 20 to 40 seconds. So I have to guess. Whenever people say that and there, I have to go, ooh, I wonder what they're reacting to. Freezing cold decaf coffee with coconut milk and Splenda. What are you drinking? Emojis up, everybody. What are you drinking? Am I missing anything from LinkedIn? LinkedIn's been awfully quiet lately. Nope. LinkedIn, you're still quiet. Or LinkedIn is maybe blippy. You people on LinkedIn, come on over to YouTube. It's where the fun is. You write an emoji and it blows up on the screen. Yeah, so let's see if I'm missing any questions sent in anonymously. No. Just putting some things in the garbage. Okay, so I'm talking to this person tomorrow. That's very exciting. Yay! If you're watching my stream live, thank you for booking time with me for tomorrow. You know who you are. Hey, Gemma. Gemma, I always think you have two M's in your name. Okay, we're listening carefully. Thank you for that great emoji. Pepe, too late for coffee. Plain black without any extra bells and whistles. Yeah, I used to drink my coffee black, but I've always been decaf because I'm allergic to caffeine. Ask me anything. Lifelong allergic to caffeine. So this is decaf. And then lately I've been feeling like it needs a little bit more love. So I put in a little coconut milk and sometimes a little stevia. I think I said Splenda. Stevia. But I think I made it 4 hours ago. Coffee, but I shouldn't drink coffee powder. It's usually too powerful for me. My coffee machine broke down. Yeah, again, switch to decaf, everybody. Join me. You can do it. Look at all the energy I have, and it's not powered by caffeine. That's hopefully YouTube will cut that as the thumbnail, or I'll have to do that. I still make the thumbnails. Meanwhile, let's see. Yeah. Subscribe, youtube.com/@CXCC. That's our, we're here every other Tuesday. I'm going to move this to an every other Tuesday show because I was doing it every Tuesday and then people just didn't have as many questions. Pepe, wow, that's not a frequent allergy. Had a friend who was allergic to chocolate. That sucks. It's actually in the same family. So I'm supposed to be allergic to chocolate, but I know how much I can have before I'm in the danger zone. Same for caffeine. I can have 1 can of Coke, but beyond that, I'm in trouble. So no, you will not find me having caffeine. It's too painful a reaction. I really want to avoid it. I got a mini reaction a couple of weeks ago in Vienna. No, I wasn't in Vienna. Austria, in Graz, when I was at that conference. I think they were cooking a lot of the food in red wine. And for me, the allergy, for some reason, the allergy group, as it was explained to me when diagnosed, was caffeine, codeine, red wine, too much dark chocolate, and possibly hard cheese and hard alcohol. Well, I don't eat that much cheese, and I very rarely drink alcohol, so I mostly noticed it in other things. But yeah, I think I got a small reaction a couple of weeks ago, and I think the conference center was cooking all of the food in some sort of red wine sauce, but nothing was labeled. Grr. Label food, everybody. Label food. I can't say this enough. Please label food. So many of us are sensitive and allergic to so many things. It doesn't make sense to put food out with no ingredients and information. And the people there didn't speak English, which is fine. I'm in Austria. They don't have to speak English. But then I couldn't hold a good conversation with them about what's in this. Ana Lucia says, I have lactose intolerance, can't drink milk, but I know how many yogurts, cream, or cheese I can have. And All the Flemish cheese I want, no lactose. Yeah, there's lots of lactose-free options in our local supermarket, though I will happily eat the lactose. All right, we might be winding down. If we don't have, I don't see any anonymous questions coming in. I don't see any questions in the chat coming in. So we might be ready to wrap up. Let me take a quick look at the calendar for what's coming next, because we do have some cool things coming up on this and my other YouTube channel. Yes, I'm going behind my ear. It's for the skin reason. So on dcx.to, we have an events calendar. You can always stay up to date with that and see what I'm planning. Lots of recurring streams like these AMAs and also some other special events. So tomorrow is my other AMA. So on Tuesdays, I'm doing an AMA around CX and UX and business strategy and all that kind of stuff, product management. And then on Wednesday, it's the Your Life After Tech AMA. So people who want to talk about layoffs and feelings and what's going on with tech jobs, and is AI going to take our jobs, and where's my job, and applying for jobs, and all the stuff that has to do with careers, staying in your career, changing your career, adding side work to a career. You don't have to leave tech to come and talk to me about life after tech. You could be life during tech. I'm still trying to stay in tech, but I am building up non-tech work because who knows what's next, right? So that's tomorrow at 8 p.m. Italy time. Please note we changed clocks last week. Some of you don't change clocks yet, so check what time it is. Right now it's 7:16 p.m. Oh, good. Sean has a question. We'll answer that before we sign off. So Wednesdays is a Life After Tech Ask Me Anything. So you can send questions ahead of time if you'd like. That is lat.link. That's my URL shortener. That'll take you to the Life After Tech site, and all the links are on the resources page. And then on Monday, we're going to do an article and discussion about what role I think will be the last tech job standing. Is it the UX person? Is it the product person? Is it the engineer, the marketer, the salesperson? Who do I think is the last one standing? So that's coming on Monday, and that will be on YouTube. It is Your Life After Tech. Someone else was already Life After Tech, so I am Your Life After Tech. And another quick plug, if I may. Let me put this up on the screen. Okay. So another quick plug is, as one of my non-tech jobs, I am moving into more traditional coaching, life coaching, personal goals, relationships, communication, all kinds of those types of things. I'm not a therapist. I don't deal with trauma, but anybody who feels like they need more peace, self-awareness, organization, communication, relationship stuff, it is, first one's free, and then it is heavily discounted because I'm in a program now, and as part of the certification, I have to do hundreds of hours. So I'm hoping that people are open to getting some non-UX coaching from me. In the UX coaching, I'm telling you what to do, and in this style of coaching, I am not telling you what to do. I'm asking good questions and hoping you will find it yourself. All right, let's go to Sean's question, which might be our last one today. Thank you, Sean. This says, let's blow it up a little. How do you feel young UX designers can get help with getting businesses to opt into UX research when we're the only UX designer on the team? Unfortunately, that's very hard right now. Sean says, I joined late. I would have asked all the questions. Well, I'm doing this every other Tuesday. Let me see. Am I doing it? I used to do it every Tuesday, and then I'm going to move it to every other Tuesday. It looks like I've got one scheduled for the next 2 Tuesdays, and then I'm going to change the cadence. All right, so I'll be here next Tuesday also. If you send questions in later on, I'll save them for next week. So it's hard. If the business is not interested in UX research, then typically where things start is with evaluative testing prototypes. That is part of UX research, and some companies expect designers to be able to do that. Some designers need help learning that and doing it, and they don't get it from their job. That's where my UX coaching comes in, not the coaching I just put on the screen. That would be the other coaching, which is linked from dcx.to. But some people want me to teach them stuff fast so that they can do it. So typically when a company doesn't believe in research, sometimes we just have to call it something else. I like to say that evaluative testing is the QA of UX. We're checking that the designs and the solutions are good before we burn time having engineering code it and find out later it's a bad solution, or it's not the right design, or it's not usable. So that is where we're kind of doing a quality check. You know, you can call it research. If for some reason that makes your company hate it or not want to spend money, what if we called it a quality check, where we're going to take our prototype and we're going to put it in front of 5 or 10 people and see where it works and see where there's room for improvement. If that starts to work, then maybe the door starts to open to talk about other types of research, especially that happen early, before design, to inform strategies, priorities, and decisions. But I find that a place to start can be the evaluative or usability testing. Just make sure you don't make the common mistake of testing, do people like it? That's not UX testing, that's not usability testing. We're trying to make sure it's usable, and we're trying to make sure we've solved the original problem. We're checking for where the design can be improved. We're not trying to prove ourselves right. So that would be one place to start with research. And if you can show that that's creating some value and saving, then hey, look at all this time we saved engineering because engineering didn't go and build this thing that wasn't the right thing. Time and money saved. Then you might be able to start saying, hey, can I get some other time, or can we bring in a researcher to do this other stuff? That's probably the short version of some of the things that I tend to recommend there. I hope that helps and makes some sense. What else? Oh yeah, and always thanks to paid Patreon members and for everybody in the community. Happy to have the people in the Slack and the Discord, and I'm trying to get everybody away from algorithms. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, you barely see my stuff. If you follow me on Medium, you barely see my stuff. Even YouTube is not a given. One of my favorite YouTubers went live today. I'd clicked notify me. It didn't even tell me. So I do hope people will be part of our communities. They're free. So it's not like, ooh, Deb's trying to get money out of me. Nope, they're free. Free Slack, free Discord. Join the Patreon at the free level. Both the Slack and the Discord have a channel called Live Events where we tell you, got a bot that reminds you when stuff is coming up, so you don't have to miss anything if you want to join it live, or you can easily find it later because everything's always archived on the YouTube channel. Sean, I managed to do it and I got budget for user interviews and usability testing, improved value, but my product manager hated it. Too common, because you probably proved that person wrong, or that person imagined that you showed value that they didn't. It would be so much better if your product manager said, I'm so glad you did that. Wow, that saved all of us from a mistake. Instead, that person went with ego. And I'm sorry to hear that, because they probably hated it for bad reasons. Especially if other people loved it and it proved its value. So, you know, the one thing I wouldn't do, I think sometimes people go, well, maybe I'll bring the product manager into it more next time so they can take some credit for it. No, I don't want that. So I would try to find other ways to collaborate with that person, or depending upon my relationship with them, I might say, wow, you really hated this research, and it sounds like people saw the value in it. I'll probably be doing this type of research again. Can we just have a really frank conversation about why you hated it? Or why you were unhappy with it? You know, maybe I don't want to make the assumption that it was hatred. You know, why you was very confused. He's the one to hire me. It was a rude awakening. Yeah, not too sure what to say there. A lot going on there. Yeah, little drama there. Yeah, so if he hired you, he might feel that he's above you, and he might not like you being empowered or empowering. It sounds like you empowered yourself, and I say hooray, freaking do it. Don't wait for him to empower you. He evidently doesn't like when you're empowered. So depending upon your relationship with him, you might want to open it up to say, hey, it seems like I did this great research work and I really expected you to support me and be proud of me and encourage me. But instead, it seems like it was a negative thing for you. See, I didn't say what it was, just negative. Can I ask you more about that? Because I plan to do this research again. It really showed its value. People loved it. But if it's going to be some sort of conflict, let's talk about that. But again, depends on what your relationship with this person is and if you feel like you can have that conversation. But my concern is sometimes that if we leave this alone, I hope this person isn't a saboteur. I hope this person won't try to hurt your job or hurt your relationships with others or cut that work out or try to take that work over for themselves because they want to show the value. So, I might say something depending upon the work relationship. Ana Lucia says, by the way, I saw a discussion the other day on Reddit. Ooh, Reddit, I'm allergic to that too. A graphic designer was wondering about options to transition to UX and was options to transition to, and UX was part of the list. There was a person in the comments completely against suggesting this. They said they were tired of seeing graphic designers claiming they were UX designers and they didn't actually know anything about the area itself, which contributed to devaluing UX. So, there is some truth to that. Many years ago, it was very frustrating when graphic and visual and brand designers suddenly called themselves UX designers, got jobs doing UX design without really knowing UX or actually doing good UX work. Some of them did, most of them didn't. That definitely changed how companies understood UX. And now you can see we're at the point where they mostly want the graphic design. A lot of them will call something UX or product design, but they really just want the graphic design. So my thought is, if a graphic designer wants to become a product designer, it's really hard for me to say, oh no, don't do that. Because in many ways, most, not all, but most product designer jobs are now graphic designer jobs. So it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, don't do that. Does it devalue UX? Absolutely. But we're like 10 years too late on that. So, what can we do at this point? I'd love to fight that, but it just doesn't feel worth it anymore. Let's just talk about quality, right? Like yesterday's webinar, episode 251. If this person is doing quality work and there's good outcomes, it's hard for me to say don't hire them. But I think it's very hard to transition into anything that looks like UX right now, because someone might say, oh, what that graphic designer can do, Miro's AI could do, or Figma's AI could do, or insert AI X. So I think a graphic designer is going to have a hard time transitioning in because there are so many designers, so few jobs, and an increasing number of people who think AI can do it. So funny. My friend saying, you're going to take me to barbecue once a week? That changes things. Call them back and take the job. Oh, I love her. All right, so we should wind down. It's been an hour. Thanks to everybody who joined in today. Super crowd, super questions. And I will get everything into the YouTube. That's what my last job was like. They said they wanted a UX designer. They really wanted a UI designer, part of our contentious relationship. Ana Lucia said it was somewhat refreshing to see an engineer actually defending UX. They knew what UX is and even said the things they noticed graphic designers are lacking. Yeah, when I used to tour engineering conferences before the pandemic, I had a lot of engineers and product owners and scrum masters come to me and say, we hate our UX designer. And I'd say, okay, I feel you. Tell me more. Oh, well, they're really high ego and they leave meetings if you don't do things their way, and they just make things pretty, and they don't seem to understand the function, and they don't seem to understand the business goals. And I was like, yep, that's not what I recommend UX designers do. I'm sorry, you don't have a great one. But guess what? That's your hiring process. If you don't know how to look for these things during hiring, I'm sorry you hired a bad designer, but maybe you want to take a fresh look at your hiring process because, we can see these people coming. Sean said, I said it wasn't UX if I'm just making mock-ups without any research. Yeah, I do say that as well. I say if you're just making wireframes, prototypes, mock-ups without good evidence, data, and knowledge, it's kind of web design or app design, but without really good user experience, best practices, and rigor and other stuff. All right, I got a whole bunch of emails flowing in, and I got to get back to stuff. I hope to see some of you signing up for my new coaching, kind of the life coaching section of things. And again, you can find that on deltacx.coach. Let's put that up. That is not the UX coaching. The UX coaching you can find linked from dcx.to. This is the life coaching I'm studying now, and I hope people will book more time since I need the hours and the practice. I'm still learning. Thanks for putting up with me. Okay, thanks everybody. I will fire us out of here and see you tomorrow. Bye.